Hello everyone. Today my video is going to be over using this adaptive equipment, a T-grip knife. Now, I have another knife, just a regular kitchen knife to show as comparison with the normal equipment and the adaptive equipment, and to show you how it's easier to work with an adaptive equipment. So I'm going to start with the lemon. So just something to cut to demonstrate how using something like this can help someone who doesn't really have a whole lot of strength in their hands or a lot of strength in their fingers, working with a lot more muscle groups in your hand, your full palm, and your forearm, versus using a regular knife where you have to use a lot of fine motor skills. Your fingers come into a play with keeping the knife stable and the actual grip. You can't exactly cut with your full palm like so. Now, we're just going to cut lemon in half. So, I can use my whole palm to cut on the lemon. I mean, lemons have the rinds on the outside, so they're difficult to cut, they're difficult to get through. So being able to use my full palm and slice it open the whole way. So, obviously, it can cut right through the lemon with no problem whatsoever. Now, whenever I was using the knife to actually cut through it, you could see that I was using a lot of force. So I'm using a lot of force to cut through the rind. Somebody who has, a weak grip strength, or they don't have a whole lot of strength in their fingers or in their hand, they can't apply that much force to something that's such a thin spot. So applying a lot of strength, you can easily cut through the lemon with a knife with fine motor skill. So just to cut through the lemon, I had to use this knife completely different. You can't just press and cut it. There's not a whole lot of strength behind that actual cut. So you have to poke it, so exposing the blade to yourself. And someone that doesn't have a lot of strength or a whole lot of muscular control, that's a dangerous situation. You have the blade facing yourself. You can't exactly cut away from it either, because that's a much more difficult position to cut in. So, using a regular knife, you already are exposing the blade to your body, and you have to cut down to pierce that thicker rind. So, cutting through it. It's simple, it's easy, but for someone that doesn't have a whole lot of muscular control, this can be a really dangerous part of their day. Now, with the adaptive equipment, the blade's curved and it's always facing away from you. You can press hard down on it, or you can use your hand in a much more stable grip versus putting your finger on the edge of a blade. You can use your entire palm to cut into the lemon, and you just rock the blade back and forth, cutting through the rind, just like so. So, the cuts made with the adaptive equipment and the cuts made with the regular kitchen knife, both very simple. However, they're using very different muscle groups and a lot of different control. You have a much lower risk of hurting yourself with the adaptive equipment if control's an issue. You can grip it like so with your entire palm. You can grip it like so with your whole entire palm still. So there's a lot more grip, there's a lot more safety, and you're still using a kitchen tool. With the regular kitchen knife, you have a lot more fine motor skills are needed. You have to angle the blade facing yourself, and you have to have muscular control as you're cutting. Like I said, this can be a dangerous part of somebody's day if they don't have a whole lot of control. That's my presentation for my adaptive equipment, the T-grip knife. Thank you, everybody. So to demonstrate the benefit of using a piece of adaptive equipment in the kitchen, I'm going to be role-playing as a patient who has suffered a stroke. So stroke patients typically suffer numbness or weakness on, either side of their upper body. So let's just say I'm right-handed. I've suffered a stroke in my right side, suffering from weakness, fatigue, and not a whole lot of muscular control. Gripping something fine and narrow is going to be difficult. I'm going to have a lot of weakness in my grip. I'm going to have a lot of, I guess, lowered confidence in my ability to actually cut through this rind. It's going to be difficult. I probably can't get a full grip on the handle, and being able to use my finger to have pressure on the blade is going to be difficult, and it's going to be dangerous. So with a piece of adaptive equipment, whether my grip is strong or whether my grip is a little bit weaker, I can still apply 4 fingers at the very least to the handle. So 4 fingers onto the handle. That's already maximizing part of my grip strength. By even just pressing my palm against the handle on the blade, I've got a lot more pressure that can be applied. It's not just the pressure from my finger onto the rind if I had plenty of strength in my hand. Now it's the full pressure of my forearm and my shoulder into the blade. So my full pressure, I can just confidently press and slice. Pressing and slicing with the blade being curved, I can rock it back and forth. So slice and slice. The blade's never exposed to my body. I never lose contact with the lemon, and the rind gets cut straight through. So for patients who have a stroke, for example, they can't be expected to handle something like this right off the bat. It's just like relearning anything. You have to work your way up to it. Adaptive equipment is there to help you put rings on those ladders. Working your way up, being able to maintain your normal lifestyle, just adapt it. Working with equipment that's ultimately going to maximize your recovery and the life that you're living.